How good is the internet in India? It's a question I get asked often by coworkers, friends back home, but also local travelers who may have an online job, yet they're just traveling in India thinking, well, I could never move here because the internet is too slow. This video is for you. This video will show you an accurate portrayal of how good the internet is in India now. And honestly, it's pretty good. I can work full-time online without a hassle, and I think a lot of other digital nomads could too. Stay tuned for more. So the current average download speeds for India, let me read them off for you here. So India's average broadband speeds, so we're talking desktop type stuff, 28 megabytes per second download, 24 megabytes per second upload, average across the country. For mobile, 10 megabytes per second download, 4 megabytes per second upload. So if you're an American, you're probably thinking like, dang, that is slow. My internet provider says I can get 100, 300. Google Fiber, you know, that's not enough, and I could never do that. Well, think about this. My speeds in a smallish town in India are 75 megabytes per second. If you were in a big city, in a place that had good internet, you could get that or higher. My speeds in Austin, Texas, they were probably around 100, a little over 100, and I had a fiber network. My point being, I can work full-time without much, you know, with speeds being pretty good. I can have Skype calls, I can have Hangout calls, and everything runs fine. I can stream video. So to get a Skype call, you need about 1 megabyte per second download. To get a Netflix 4K download, you need about 25 megabytes per second. So even with those average speeds, you could get that. Now, what I have found is while YouTube works well, Vimeo does lag. So that would be the one downside that I have found. I've also found that at times my internet, it won't go out, but it'll like need to reconnect. And so when that happens, I'll just switch to my hotspot on my phone and I'll continue my work. And the hotspot on my phone with Google Docs, using Google Docs and Gmail and anything online that I'm doing, or if I need a Skype call, I'll do it on my phone. I can just continue my work without interruption. And then I'll just check back with my hotspot or my Wi-Fi, or excuse me, my broadband, and then, you know, it'll be working quickly enough. So that is some hassles that I've been noticing, but by having that two-tiered system, it hasn't been a problem for me. Another thing with that is, like, let's say the power goes out for a while, so that means my broadband is out, so I can work on this for a period of time, and then my backup system is to go to a local restaurant that has a generator, and I'll work from their internet as well. So if you're gonna do it, you'd wanna have systems like that in place. So a broadband, you'd wanna have a phone that had a good connection, and you'd wanna know a coffee shop or a restaurant or a hotel you could go to as a third backup. There are other options that you can go to my website, chinomad.com. How good is the internet? And it'll tell you some other options as well. What about the speed variation from city to city? Now, where you're at can have a big factor in how fast your internet is going to be. I've heard places like Goa, tourist hotspots, beautiful beaches, the internet is poor. So you'd want to check something like that out. I am lucky to have good internet at this place in a relatively small town. Other good cities that have good internet, the average speeds in Chennai, 32 megabytes. Bangalore, 31 megabytes per second. Hyderabad, 28 megabytes per second. Delhi, 23 megabytes per second. On the low end of the scale, Jaipur, 10 megabytes per second. So if you're going to be traveling and working, that there is going to be an unknown variable. You'd obviously want to get a local phone and a local SIM card. Nomad, how to get Nomad, how to use an American cell phone in India. If you want to figure out how to do that, there's a post on that. But back to my point, so you'd want to have a hotspot on your phone. The hotels I haven't found to be that good. Now I stay at hotels that charge like 15 bucks a night. You pay 50 bucks a night, you could probably get some Wi-Fi that's pretty good in your room. So that's an option. There's also the option of buying a hotspot and carrying that with you as another backup. Now the challenge with that is if you go across a wide area, Vodafone might work good in one area and not so good in the other. So that's another variable that would make this more difficult. Cool fun fact about India's internet speeds, they were the most improved in the entire world. You can see the data on my post about this on Nomad. So if you're working online, you might be asking, how much speed do I actually need? Is 25 enough? I'm used to working at 100. If I don't work at 100, I can't do that. Well, actually, let's see what you actually need. So streaming 4K video, 25 megabytes per second. Streaming high def video, so a regular Netflix movie, 5 megabytes per second. Streaming standard def, 3 megabytes per second. Streaming music, 1 to 5 megabytes per second. Gaming online, 4 megabytes per second. Downloading large files, 5 to 50 megabytes per second. Checking emails, social media, 1 megabyte per second. So you don't probably need as much as you think you need. Like I said, I'm getting 75 here. I don't notice a difference between this and Austin, Texas. Another thing to consider is the company you go with. I use a new company called CherryNet. They may not be in your area, depending on where you're at. They're here. I got a great deal. It cost me like $10 a month for basically unlimited data, and it was free for 3 months if I signed up for 6 months. So let me talk about some other companies though that are probably more likely to be in your area. So the government-owned company, or the most popular company, is BSNL. Excuse me, they're state-owned and they have over 50% of the market share. They are a good company. My friend has them as one of his internet providers. They're good. He says he doesn't have a problem with them. I've talked to other locals who say, we're joking that it's kind of like state-owned, so you gotta like bribe people to get work done. I can't attest to that. But that's one option and would probably work well with you. If you are gonna bribe these people, we're probably talking like 100 rupees. So, which is $1.50. Other companies, Geo gets good reviews. Bharti Airtel, Hathway, Airtel Broadband, ACT FiberNet, Idea Cellular, Vodafone India, U Telecom. All these are getting good speeds. Best coming from ACT FiberNet. They're getting 37 megabytes per second. 37 megabytes per second. So some places to avoid if you're looking for free internet as you're traveling. I haven't had good experience with hotels, like I said before. It never works in my room, or only barely works in my room, so I need to go to a public room, and then it barely works. Like, think of the times most people log on around dinner time, nighttime, super slow. So if I was traveling around, I might bump up a place that I stay or pay a little bit more if I need to work at a place. I would also be checking the internet speed as I'm looking at a hotel before I throw down money. Other places are restaurants. Even in this smaller town, there are 3 places that have free Wi-Fi. They're pretty good. They're not great. I'm concerned about hacking. So I use an ExpressVPN connection, and I don't actually use the free Wi-Fi. I'll use my hotspot on my phone if I can at all use it and avoid using the free Wi-Fi, although I have used it and haven't had problems. Another challenge with the internet is the electricity. it will go out, so then your Wi-Fi goes out. You can get around that by renting a place that has an inverter or a battery and inverter system where you hook up the Wi-Fi to that so it's always running. I do not have that. I could buy it. It's like $450 to get a system like that. You could also find an apartment in a place that's a little more civilized, I guess you could say, than where I live, and might come with that. I know that many places do. So the final question, is it realistic to work full-time as a digital nomad or as you're traveling to work? It has worked for me in my personal experience. So yes, I think it can, depending on your situation. What I did was I came to India for 3 weeks. I worked during that time and I was like, you know what? I think I could do this longer. So I waited a year once my lease was up, and over here I came, and I've been super happy that I have. I hope this video was helpful for you understanding the internet situation here in India. You can find out, you can see tables on those companies and the exact speeds. You can see a table on the cities and their exact speeds on Chai Nomad. I'll have the link in the description. More videos coming soon about travel tips in India.